Hello everyone, Jasmine here with Punima and Machik from LVL UP Consulting with the People First Projects podcast. I've nailed it. And we're here every week to talk about our perspective on a whole range of topics that come with project management and how we like to put a bit of a human-centric lens on things, because that's just how we roll here at LVL UP. So we have some thoughts, we have some tips, and of course you're very welcome to put yours in the comments below as well. And alternatively, if you have some ideas of items you'd like us to talk about in a future episode, let us know. But today's episode is something very close to my heart, and you're going to think I'm joking, but I'm dead set serious. It is about project governance. I actually am a nerd for it. I love it. I think it's important. I love the structure. I love the transparency. I love the stakeholder engagement. I love everything about governance, and I think it's really important. It's something that's there with project management. Sometimes, it's not always there, but usually there's a gating process or certain documents that need to be done. And PMs, I'm absolutely guilty for that, don't do it, pretend they don't know about it, and then things slip and can result in a bit of a disaster. So good governance is really freeing, I think, for projects, and it's good for everyone. I'm going to open to these guys in a minute, as they always do. They have prepared and they have got notes for their tips and their perspective on this topic. But because this is one of my favourite topics, I'm going to go first. So why do I love it? The main one for me is that it's just one of the best ways to have stakeholder engagement is to have those governance forums. So I love a steerco, I love a business reference group, technical reference groups, and they all serve a different purpose for the greater good of the project. Of course, you don't want to overdo it, but I do find in structures where you have those sorts of governance forums, it's super, super helpful, and to have them consistently every fortnight, every week is probably overkill, or even every month. It's really helpful. So all of your stakeholders have the same update at the same time, and they have their, materials they can refer back to. I think it just cuts out a lot of that uncertainty. So that's why I like project governance. But how about you guys? Why is project governance important? Or do you completely disagree with me and not find it important and you're really hating this week's topic?
I think I completely agree with you, Jazz, because my follow-up point would be the decision-making authority. Like, you have steercos, BRG, TRGs for a reason. So if you have a clear decision-making authority for your project, I guess that avoids conflicts, confusions, because it determines who the decision-making person is for your project. And for all the important decisions, you go to that person, you get a thing approved. So I guess that is very important.
And a trail of approvals, and I love this because you've got formal minutes a lot of the times with these formal governance committees. There's packs. You can refer back to it, and you can even have obviously a RAID log that you track and you capture when was a decision made. So another reason why I love governance. Magic. You're looking at me like I hate this. Every week he says he loves the topic. You just like it, don't you?
Yeah, this week is hard for me because I like this topic. Of course, maybe I'm not that excited about project governance, but I have to admit that it's super important to be really focused on that part of project work. And I think I will start my points with transparency. And for me, project governance is something that makes this transparency in projects. So we know what are the risks, we know what are the issues, and we know that everyone is involved, we know what was shared, and how can we see the progress in the project. So this transparency is just like the safe point for project manager, for project lead, that he can go through all of the documents and just check if everything is okay. So this part of project governance is of course super important for me. Not exciting, but important.
You're right. And we're all on a governance committee at the moment for a particular project, and we have a really active, very engaged steering committee who do ask us some really direct questions a lot of the time, and we have that ability every 2 weeks for them to ask us those questions. So, I think it's helpful to have those forums and that governance structure and those documents as well, so that if you are a steering committee member, you can ask the PM things. You've said the schedule is green, but what happens if this doesn't work or this doesn't work? What happens then? So it's sort of two-way transparency, and I like that. It's good. It's good to have that. Can be put you on the spot at times, but it's good to have that. All right, Punima, have you got anything else?
Yes, I do have another point as well. As you've mentioned, the RAID log. Yes, risk management. If you have an effective project governance in place, I guess risk management, maintenance of risk, and you avoid issues in the project because you keep assessing the risk at a regular interval because you've got a governance there. So it avoids major issues in the project and it saves your time, budget, everything. So that's another important thing to consider as well for project governance.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. So I know I've been talking a lot about governance forums and governance committees, but there are like a stack of governance documents that are really important. And of all of them, this is just like a love fest for me today. The risk management plan is my favourite, and doing it at the start and then checking in on it and any new risks that arise, and it's putting updates in against the risk log throughout the course of the project, I think is really important. So I 100% agree with you. But yeah, it is one of those key documents that should be done and revisited. I think that's really important with risks, that it's not just left. It needs to be added. It's sort of alive and living. Cool.
Absolutely.
I like that. Risks, governance. Machik, I'm sure you've got at least one more.
Yeah, there is one more. I was really thinking hard about what should I say about project governance, and I think I'm going to change my point to something that is really, this is this one thing that is exciting for me in project governance. And,
Yes, we got it.
and I'm gonna say that the sharing knowledge and experience based on the work that you have done in previous project, even now we are working on a project that we really get these insights, these experiences, something that is important to implement based on your experience. And I think this is the part that project governance is, I would even say this is the funniest part of project governance for me. So I would say sharing knowledge and insights.
That's true. Absolutely right, because it doesn't matter if it's a governance committee or a governance document. Often you don't just do them and put them on the shelf, although I've definitely been guilty of that as well. You usually get it approved or reviewed by other people who have subject matter expertise, and they can tell you things that you don't know, again, to help progress and for the greater good of the project. So it can feel painful, they can feel really cumbersome at times, some of these governance documents, but they're for a good reason. So I guess moral of the story, the tip for today, the big tip of this podcast is don't hate governance, get as excited about governance as Jasmine is, and embrace it, and chip away at it. Some governance requirements are bigger than others, but do it. It's just like having a good project status report. Do that regularly, have regular governance forums, have a structure for it, and you'll have great communication and great stakeholder engagement and good outcomes for your project. So do your governance. That's all from me today. We'll see you for the next episode, everyone.